Hello and welcome. This is a new thing here in B3hindth3ma5kReviews, and I'm going to be reviewing movies, not horror, sci-fi on this channel, or fantasy, because that's on my other channel, Confessions from the Darkside. I'm doing all that on there. But this is for every other movie that I do watch. And yes, my passion is horror and fantasy and sci-fi, but I do watch other movies. Like, I love action movies and comedy. So today, we're going to be discussing, breakdown, and a review of the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which is a new Guy Ritchie film that was actually released last month. It was released in the cinemas and theatres over in the States, but not here in the UK, which I think is pretty piss poor for a director who's actually English, and he's totally punishing the British public from depriving them of going to the cinema to see his movies. And we've got to fucking wait for streaming. Is that acceptable? Is it fuck? So, not only directed by Guy Ritchie, he actually adapted the script as well, I believe. He was one of them. From what they spoke about in the promotion, there was a lot of things that were adapted from day to day and hour to hour so that the movie could be the movie it is today, I believe. What is this story about? Apparently, British military recruits a small group of highly skilled soldiers to strike against German forces behind enemy lines during World War II. And it's based on a book that was IMDB's description of it. It's down as action, drama, and war. I do actually have, even though I'm not the biggest Guy Ritchie fan, and I do voice that quite a lot, not on channels or anything, just people who know me know that I'm not the biggest fan of Guy Ritchie. I'm not a big fan of his movies, but the movies he does do, he has a niche. He now does movies that he believes in and he is passionate about, which is a really, really good thing to be able to do. To be in a position to make movies that you might not like and not necessarily have any interest in, but you make enough money, and obviously the more movies you do, the more experience that you have. So I do respect him in that aspect, that now he's doing something that he enjoys. And what's the point in doing a job or being in a job if you don't fucking enjoy it? So I do respect him in that. The story is actually based on a book, and it's diaries and journals of Gus March Phillips, which is the character played by Henry Cavill. And you'll understand why. Every time I have to say his name, it will probably come out all garbled and stuff, because I can't be bothered fucking talking about them anymore. I really, really can't. So there's plenty of people in this movie that are much better, and I will get into that as well. And not being biased, I'm going to try and be as incredibly neutral as I can about the whole movie and not just him. So I'm trying to behave myself here and trying not to say as many obscenities as I do in my other channel. So here we go. The stars of this movie: Henry Cavill, who plays Gus March Phillips, who's the main character and who the actual stories really are based around. It's his journals and his thoughts, feelings, and basically experiences during this time that have been adapted into a book. Alan Ritchson, he plays Anders Lassen, and you're going to find out that I fucking love Alan Ritchson. He is such an awesome actor, and seeing him in this movie, oh my fucking god, makes this movie the best thing ever. If you love like violence and action the way he is in Reacher and the way he executes it in that, you're going to fucking love this movie. So he saves this movie, in my honesty. So that's all I'm saying. You've got Alex Pettyfer again. I've not really recognised him, but he was very good as well. He's quite funny, and again, you think this movie's going to be serious. It's not. It's very caddish, and the humour is like, again, it's very guy humour. And if you understand that type of humour, then you'll really, really enjoy it. You've got Isa Gonzalez, who plays Marjorie Stewart. Marjorie Stewart ends up, in real life, she actually married Gus March Phillips, but in this movie, they're not actually married at this time, I believe. You've got Babs. Can't pronounce your last name, mate. Not going to try to, because I will butcher it. He plays Heron, and they call him H in the movie, and he's a very, very talented actor himself as well, and I just love him and everything he's in. I'm not going to pronounce this guy's last name because I have issues with the tongue-tied thing, as you find out in my own channel as well. He was in The Princess Bride, and I'm just going to call him by his first name, which is Carrie. We've got Hero finds Tiffin. Again, he plays another he's another Henry. So he plays a Henry Hayes, but he's not a Henry in real life, but he's a hero. You've got Henry Golding, who plays Freddie Alvarez. Again, really, really funny guy. He was in A Simple Favour, and he's in the sequel as well, and I love him, he's brilliant. And you've got the guy who plays Churchill as Rory Kinnear, and then you've all got Til Schweiger, which plays Henrik Luhr, which is part of the Nazi regime he is. The movie was released last month. It was not released as a cinematic release here in the United Kingdom, which again is not a shock horror for Guy Ritchie because he's done it for these past 4 films. And it seems to be, instead of encouraging us to go to the fucking cinema, he's encouraging us to sit back and download these stuff. But unless you have the streaming services and you want to either pay for it when it first comes out or wait a few weeks type thing. But it's not encouraging people from the United Kingdom to put faith in you, Mr. Ritchie. Come on, to fuck. Stop treating us fucking differently to the rest of the fucking world. Don't want our money. Is our money no fucking good enough or something? And you wonder why I gave you a disclaimer. So it's based on the diaries and works of Gus March Phillips, who is a real person, who was part of a special team with special skills like I have described before. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare was a book. It has been adapted and brought to the screen, the big screen, by Guy Ritchie and Jerry Bruckheimer, to name a few, and has been the characters, the people who actually lived through this and did this suicide mission, were brought to life by an incredible, exceptional cast. This movie has a lot of caddish humour, like I said. And it's also the jokes about loving wood that made me laugh in the first few minutes of the movie. And it's more believable in real life that guys act like that towards each other. I know I act like that. I'm female, but I am a tomboy, and therefore I've hung about with boys all my life, males all my life. So therefore I don't act like a regular female. So I do have a similar humour to that, and I found it incredibly funny, and it was nice. Some of the worst accents I've ever heard in this. Hero does a really good Irish accent, but some of the accents were terrible. Even Isa herself, or Isa, is it Isa? Isa herself actually said that she had to sing in German. It was terrible. She wasn't the greatest at it. At least she actually admitted it. The butchering of it is, I'm just not really looking forward to hearing the Scottish accent that a certain person's going to have to do in the Highlander series, put it that way. So hearing him butcher things is cringy as fuck. So yeah. It reminds me of a cheap version of Inglourious Bastards. It really does. Right from the start. Not that that's a bad thing that they've taken that sort of type of film and he's pulled it off. Because again, this is based on a book. It's based on actual event and brought to the screen from someone from their perspective, that how they think things would have been executed and how things would have been put down, basically. Like I said, when I was introducing the cast, Alan Ritchson is so good. Just so good. Close-up magic, which is a natural talent. His dance of violence between Alan and Henry Golding. This movie was saved, in my honesty. These two actors saved this movie. And they made it as it was. I'm not saying the rest of the cast are not anyone who is good. It's just, in my honesty, I think Alan was the guy. He was everything. So violent, very candid, and it seemed to be like, even when you see outtakes, like when you've seen a lot of the promo things that have actually been released on social media, on Instagram and things like that, and YouTube, you see the behind the scenes and the bloopers and stuff, and he has this energy, and you see it again on his own social media as well, that he's no faking who he is. He is who he is. And he's not putting on any personas or anything. He is just himself. And that's what I really missed about not seeing him actually in the interviews with the rest of the cast, because he was filming Reacher at that point, I believe. And he wasn't even at the red carpets either. When they're showing you the maps of how the Nazis are taking over the world, basically, world domination. They show the Union Jack in England, Wales, but in Scotland it's all blue. So I really like the fact that they focused on the fact that Scotland is part of the Union, but we really aren't an equal part of the Union. So thanks for being so truthful, because that you rarely fucking see that. So Guy Ritchie got that right. Basically, Gus March Phillips is in jail for being a naughty boy, I think, just because he didn't follow the rules and doesn't want to follow and follows his own beat to his own drum, basically, whether that who the fuck knows. But he's a naughty boy, and they want him to do something that they won't do themselves, the British government and the military. So they bring him out of jail, and he's so cocky as fuck. And it kind of reminds me of the person he tries to portray he's not in real life, and obviously he has some sort of cockiness about him to be able to pull that off. So he comes in and he like kind of smells the cigar because he actually kleptos like cigars and puts them in his pocket. Tries to klepto lighters and stuff. Klepto means he's got light fingers and he just picks things up because he was stealing. He also, instead of making himself a cup of tea, he pulls out Johnny Walker and has a wee drink. His version of tea, I suppose. And again, as I said, the character Gus, Mark Phillips, is a bit of a cock. And it's quite fitting for Henry Cavill to play a cock. There's a few things that really was like kind of, what can I say, it kind of annoyed me a wee bit. Absolute chaos telling a woman to steady or settle down or calm yourself. You're just making her get to her destination quicker by telling her she can't either do it or she's not going to be able to do it. So basically, never do that to anyone, especially not a woman, because it's just never a good thing. You see the first kind of what I called Cobra Commander. That's what they call the Cobra meetings in the cabinet and the British chambers with obviously Churchill and his best guys, basically from the military, discussing what they're going to do because there's shit going down with the Nazis and they're just trying to prevent any more things from happening that would basically cause them to come to the United Kingdom and elsewhere and actually try and take over, basically. So the Cobra Commander meeting is telling the then Prime Minister, who's Churchill, showing you how dumb Prime Ministers have always been, even in the past, the present, and probably the future, that they never listen. And they can listen to advice, but they don't have to take your advice. They can just go off and do whatever the fuck they want, which is basically what Churchill does when he brings in the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, who are Gus March Phillips, Anders Lassen, Jeffrey Appleyard, who gets called Apple, Marjorie Stewart, Heron, Henry Hayes, Freddie Alvarez. So basically bringing these people in is basically they're going to do a suicide mission, a mission that is under the radar, no one knows about it, and they don't really answer to anyone. They've just to get a job done by any means necessary. And in war, sometimes that's what you need. Because if they didn't send these guys to do that job, where the fuck would we be today? What the fuck would have happened in the Second World War? This is what this movie's about, to open your eyes to the things that actually were going on behind the scenes. And that's really well executed in Guy Ritchie's part. They've not to admit, basically, what they're doing. Not in basically, if it goes right, then they take all the credit, of course. If it goes wrong, then you are to fucking blame, and they are putting their hands up. I had nothing to do with this shit. Typical politicians and typical everything to do with that sort of world. Put your hands up. Oh, it was me. Put your hands. Don't even talk about it. It wasn't me. It sounds really legit when they want to blame others, isn't it? This is under the radar. One of the funny bits for Gus is when he's talking about people's fashion. Now, the actor himself is like this, where he has said to people like, where'd you get that jacket? Or, oh, that looks cool and all that. He actually is like this. Gus says this about the military wear for some of the Nazi officers have better fashion sense and how he needs to get himself one of those jackets, which again, we do see him. We've saw him in a lot of promotional pictures and pictures that were caught from the paparazzi, should I say. They caught him on a boat in London with the long leather trench coat and the Nazi hat as well, which looked pretty cool, by the way. It was a busted up leather trench coat, man. I would have wanted to fucking steal one as well, to be honest, but it was it was just a really, really cool outfit, and he was really happy. He's a big and shit, Gus, that he got his fucking outfit. Good for him. There's a lot of Lars Ulrich and Henry Cavill in this movie, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, Lars Ulrich is the drummer for the band Metallica. I mean, he plays and he's concentrating when he's playing drums. He sticks out his tongue for concentration, and Henry Cavill does this a lot when he's shooting his gun, and the weapons he uses, he sticks his tongue out. He's engaging his inner Lars there. Alan saves the day throughout this movie, which is no shit. Golding was epic. When they go in to rescue the last member of the team, Gus gets his coat, like I just said, and he seems like a happy little boy about it. Alan making it brutal for the laughs. It's hilarious because he's making fun of so many things with that terrible accent. He's got, sorry, Alan, but your action, your execution of your skill on camera, amazing, but your accent, shit. Sorry, but it is. That's just, in my honesty, any sort of, it sounds terrible, even with vocal coaches. It doesn't matter having a bog standard accent from a country because everywhere has a different dialect. Little villages have different dialects. So again, it was terrible to listen to all the different accents, put it that way. The only guy who actually was a genuinely okay accent would have been Hero. Hero, actually, his Irish accent was good. It was not bad. And Irish and Scottish usually are probably one of the two worst accents they try and do, to be fair. Again, there's a lot of one-liners that are finished with violence, which not that I'm saying that that's a bad thing, because it's not. Because having a one-liner and then having a wee bit of like dig of execution with a wee blade in there or a wee shot in there, you know, that wee thing I kind of liked. That was really, really good. I really, really liked that sort of, you know, have a one-liner and have a wee bit of violence in there as well. If that sounds weird, let me know in the comments below. The guy, Alex Pettifer, who plays Apple, they walk in on him to rescue him, and he is being tortured. I didn't see as much torture anyway, kind of like Eastern fun. Kind of BDSM gone wrong, maybe, if he wasn't into it. But he is attached to a car battery by the nipples. He didn't seem to be that bothered by it, which goes to show that he made his, as it try to say his character was into a wee bit of Eastham. Who knows? Maybe. So his nipples were bleeding basically, and Gus asked him why, which is hilarious. So it was interrupted his BDSM time by the team trying to rescue him. I would be like, come on, can you come back in 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes? Just let me get, you know, my rocks off first. Because I would be mildly disappointed if someone walked in my fun time. Alan, again, really good, flirting with the boys. He's just so funny. He jokes about being gay again and also Gus being gay at the start of the film, so it's a kind of ongoing joke, again, the way men are. Reminiscing about car batteries again and nipples. Again, why, Mr. Ritchie, why do you do this to me? I was laughing so hard here. And I wasn't even trying to laugh, I was trying to be so serious. I was trying to take a leaf out of Henry Cavill's book by being, isn't he stoic? So, yes, I could not be stoic enough, no, when I watched that film. I cannot imagine living through this time with the complete darkness. During war, like obviously at night time, they would completely shut off everything, put boards up against the windows so no light would get out, obviously, so it wouldn't attract planes from the enemies to bomb our cities and things. I can't imagine trying to keep kids quiet at this point in time either. It's a time where people, again, it looks like something from a movie and we didn't live through that. It's crazy how the world has become. Also looks like it's been dragged back in some countries, like it hasn't actually improved. So again, showing us that wee part of what what happens with the planes flying over the United Kingdom. Again, it's just heart-wrenching to know that that's real. So there is parts of the movie where it shows you reality, or what would have been some sort of reality for the people living in that time, even though there's a lot of caddish humour and violence. So basically, complete darkness to prevent being bombed from the skies. It was a simpler time, but in times of war, it's all the same. Fighting for things that don't belong to you and killing millions of innocent lives, all in the name of their leaders. Caddish more like douchery. I did feel it was douchery sometimes. Silly boy, silly question. Did you see the dress? Something all us ladies know. There is a dress, an outfit that I own, that you own, that can stop traffic and make everyone around you putty in your hands. That's referring to Isa Gonzalez. She was wearing a beautiful dress, an absolutely beautiful dress. She was dressed up as Cleopatra, and she obviously kind of honeypot type style, obviously. She's trying to Henrik lure while she's trying to keep his attention while they try and steal a boat, basically. They've had to do so many different changes in the story. They had to change course, they had to do things that they didn't want to do, like flag up more attention when they're trying to fly under the radar, because plans change. And back then, the technology isn't what it is today, so therefore they were going to get there for 12 days, but they had to get there earlier, and they were going like the long way around to get to where they had to be to actually do a rescue mission and also to continue the mission. So they had to change things, and all that did was shine a light on them, put them under the microscope, so they had to do things differently, and in that they had to be very skilled at what they did, which they were, and continue to be, to get the job done. They had to do things that maybe the military or the people in the military or politicians and things like that didn't want to do because it would be seen as wrong. But they do it anyway because they don't have to answer to anyone. They've got an objective of what they have to do, but they're not being asked questions on how they go about it. They just have to go do it, basically. And that's what I really liked about them, showing that there is people out there that will get the job done no matter what. And that's what these guys were actually for, this mission. Not all plain sailing. There is a turd in the punch bowl, pretty much. So, as we know, Gus March Phillips was chosen as he is a rule breaker, not a rule taker. Not Lassen, played by Alan Richardson, he is told this is what we're going to do, but it doesn't always go to his plan. And as like they describe, he was a hunter. His brother was killed, and he takes it upon himself to use his skills of hunting and marksmanship to have fun. When he kills people and he takes people out, he's doing it for fun, and he's very good at it. Very, very good. Very, very skilled with bow and arrow. Very, very skilled up close combat as well. So he doesn't think about it. He just goes for it. Which again, everybody needs someone who doesn't think and just does, because there's too many people in war that have got killed or got other people killed because they're thinking too much. When you need someone like Anders to come in and just go, you know what, it's him, do, they need to die, there we go. He does that. He doesn't even ask questions. He basically just wants to know if he gets to do what he does best. And he's told to basically have fun. That's what Gus tells him. Go and have fun. Every time they're about to do something, it's like, go have fun, guys. You know what I mean? Lads or whatever the fuck they want to fucking camaraderie themselves there. So he's only interested in the carnage because obviously that's his happy place. They kept saying, we need your tug. And tug means something else. Tug means, well, it's a fap. So when they were saying like double entendre words, that had my mind giggling constantly. I don't think it's supposed to be as funny, or maybe it is. I found it more funny. The action was great, but it was quite funny. Wasn't expecting it to be as funny as it was, but the double entendres for penises and cocks, hilarious. Everybody loves a bit of dick humour, do they not? It made me incredibly happy. The way they're shooting the enemies, like they're playing a childhood game, like, you know, like they're just like walking up and shooting or taking their knives, and you know, it literally is like they're keeping a tally of score. It's really fun to watch. When Isa is in her beautiful dress, it's green, it's gorgeous. She's singing in German with that terrible accent, but she doesn't say something in German, she says it in Yiddish. And he notices straight away that when she joked about being a Jew at the start, that she is a Jew of Jewish descent, basically. And this man tortures and kills Jews, and especially women of colour. And that's one of the sad things about this. They didn't show this. They showed images, like one image of a woman that actually sickened Marjorie. And that's why she hated him so much, more than I think anything. It wasn't just the fact that he went after German Jews. He went after women of colour as well. And it was quite a powerful and moving image. Because again, there's a lot of things that haven't actually moved on from that in reality, unfortunately. And this is what I mean. Guy Ritchie's movie was very comedic and very violent, very action, very candid, very caddish. Great cast, executed very well. It was very beautiful. Look at some of the places that they went to, the locations they used, because they didn't use like sets and stuff. It was actual location that they were actually in. They filmed in Turkey. Like they filmed all over the place. So they did. And it was really, really, again, like nice to see, and using images like that to show the serious part of war, not just them being funny and killing people and having fun along the way. They're showing like real things that actually happened and most likely still happen to this day. There seems to be more violence than story, it felt like, but again, it worked. Guy Ritchie has a way of making these things work, and it's obviously something he's passionate about. He does love a lot of things about the military in real life. You see him, again, there's lots of articles of the things that he does, and again, he looked like he had fun. Again, every single member of that cast looked like they had fun. And when they were talking about it on promo, when they were promoting the movie in the United Kingdom and promoting it in the States, you could tell that they had lots of fun. They smiled a lot about scenes and working together, and that was really, really nice to see. It really, really was, because again, the pandemic and things like that changed everything. Not just everybody else, but the way they film movies and the way things are done these days. Things are different. And it doesn't feel like they all kind of get that time to build a relationship. But when you're doing a movie like this, it felt like they did become their characters, and it also felt like they did build a relationship to some extent to make the story come to life. Whether they still keep those relationships and friendships afterwards, because again, in their world, they don't always. Sometimes that's just like a big false persona right there. But during the promotion of that film, they did seem to be in sync, on the same page, and they seemed to actually have fun and enjoy each other's company, which was again really, really nice to see. And it did bleed over into the movie itself, which was nice. Again, Alan is magnificent in his delivery and his actions. Gus letting the poor wee young Navy dude jump ship, that made me laugh because my grandfather was in the Navy, and when he was supposed to get married, he jumped ship. It's always like was an inside joke with the family that he jumped ship when my aunt was sick as well when she was a baby. And again, that's a crime that can get you like well, put in the brig, the glass house or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So the military police are coming for you. Do you know what I mean? But he just lets this poor wee boy basically jump ship because he's just a young guy. So he didn't have to do that. And he's just like, when you go, just go for it, just jump over. Do you know what I mean? He's like, he was actually, Gus was really, really nice like that. So he genuinely seemed, you know what, you probably haven't seen war. Do you know what I mean? On you go, just go. Because at some point in time, in the all over the world, you had to do military service, whether you liked it or not. There's a lot of obstacles to prevent the mission from being a success. Makes you wonder if they were completely aware that this was going to be a suicide mission. They did say they had no rules, and if things go wrong, it would be on them. But were they aware that they might not all come back? And again, I think a lot in this sort of work, you have to not think about, leaving your loved ones, not coming back. It's a reality that's going to happen. And going to war, that's a reality that's many, many people don't always come back, or they don't always come back the same. So there was like touching on that as well, which again is quite emotional when you think about it. They're having fun, but at the end of the day, they're human beings. Marjorie ends up getting restrained in shackles. They were actually quite nice shackles, actually. So I was actually looking at them going, nice. It's very dungeonware, but hey. But she ends up in them because they find out that basically the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare are at it again. They're up to no good. They're doing stupid shit. They're causing a lot of carnage and having a lot of fun. But the mission ends up going tits up. For shame, yep, it does. It wouldn't be a perfect plain sailing movie. It wouldn't be like truthful if something didn't go wrong. It's reality or some form of the reality. So shooting galore. They looked like they were having loads of fun in this. There's two big, I think, majority of fights in this movie. One's right at the very start. Well, right at the start where they're actually going in to save Apple, who's played by Alex Pettyfer, and the one after where they have the party and they're trying to basically steal a big massive ship, basically. They look like they're having loads of fun with the shooting and how they kill the people, the enemy. So these are the two big fun scenes that I think that the guys themselves, even Isa herself, she was badass with a gun and she was fucking shooting the fuck out of things, showing that she's basically her target practice in the movie. She does it, and again, it's just showing that she's one of the girls and one of the guys. The fact that girls can shoot just as well. Do you mean as men? So I think they had a lot of fun filming those scenes, and no doubt when we seen the footage. We saw the footage on, I think it was on Henry Cavill's actual Instagram, he put it up on, and also Guy Ritchie, where they were just explaining, like they go into the room and they go, pew, pew, pew. And he had his tongue sticking out, the infamous tongue scene, basically, and he looked like they had lots of fun. And the same when like I said, when Gus tells the guy to jump ship, this is where they're having fun and they're taking out everybody to get, because the mission goes tits up, basically. Their plan to take out things didn't go as well as they were hoping, but they get the job done, and that's pretty much what it is, because they take away a big positive of the enemy. They take a big chess piece off the board, basically, and fuck them, basically, and screws over that Henrik guy, and he deserves it, because who knows what would have happened to Marjorie if they didn't get there in time, and who knows what the fuck would have happened if they didn't do what they did to get their plan to be a success. Again, Gus is very, he looks kind of distressed because, again, Marjorie's part of his team, their whole team, and he obviously is making sure that she's actually there and they're not leaving without her. I'm not going to go into the spoiler that I was about to go into with Isa and Gonzalez, her character, because I think you should watch the movie to see some of the wee gems that she gets to do. That's what I said before. Not a big fan of her in the stuff that I've seen, but in this, it's kind of changed my mind about her as an actress because she was brilliant. She was really, really good. I really enjoyed the making her, like, not the focus, but the fact that her part in this mission was just as important as everybody else's. And the things that she does and how she's acting like, not a dumb woman, but she's acting more subservient in a lot of things because that's what it was like then. Even though she was an agent, she was a spy, she had to kind of act subserviently when she was around different people. She could act like she wasn't and kind of be more dominative in times, especially around powerful men. But there was still a softness about the fact that, yes, she's a woman. Yes, she was actually, you never know what could have happened to her. But Guy Ritchie made her awesome, put it that way, in a few scenes, and the scene that I'm not going to discuss because I want you to watch the film and you can understand why. After she's been captured and she gets rescued by H, played by Babs, you'll understand why, because I want one and I want to be as badass as that. And I'm not going to go into it because I'll probably end up spoiling it way too much. Gus says to her, overdressed and underdressed all at once. And he's going to get her out of those shackles. I bet you are, Gus Match Phillips. I bet you are. Dirty boy. That was just like, oh my goodness, you're going to keep her in them and then take her out of them? Who knows? They never showed us that. So she goes with them, and again, they've been caught by the Navy, and it shows you them going through the glass house, and they're all in their handcuffs and stuff. William Churchill comes in, and you don't see much of him in this, thankfully, because, again, a lot of Scottish people are not a big fan of Winston Churchill, and I'm not going into that because it's not going to be a hate against that, because it's not about that. He talks about disobeying orders, Winston Churchill, but for them disobeying orders and doing things their way, and the way Gus and his team executed these decisions, their disobedience is actually what's getting them their reward. They get their handcuffs taken off, and Winston Churchill has a big buffet of food, like luxury food, to thank them in their mission, because their mission was a success. And without that mission, it gave, basically, was it the Americans, they said they're coming into the war, and it stopped a lot of things that were happening. Their successful mission helped our nation and helped the war. And that's what this movie is about. And this is what these diaries were based on. These diaries and journals that Gus March Phillips himself wrote while he was doing what he was doing. Early days SAS, early days Secret Service type thing. These were based on his memories and his take on the things that had happened. And it was written by, the book was then written from those journals and brought the movie that we have today. And again, adapted by wonderful writers and directed by Guy Ritchie. So, the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare works for Winston Churchill. What did you think of the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare? What would you rate it out of 5? This is what I'm doing. Out of 5, not out of 10. So overall, good movie, great action scenes, and kept my attention, even with Henry Cavill being in it. I give it 3.5 out of 5. The extra half is all for Alan. That half point is all for Alan, because without him, this movie would be shit. Sorry, I said it. Without Alan, the movie would be shit. I'm sorry. I want him to be in more Guy Ritchie films. I want to see more action. I want to see him taking out people in with the finesse he did in this film. I want you to go over to Amazon Prime, watch this movie, and also go watch Reacher. Give it fucking all the stars that you can, and show some support for the man, because he's fucking brilliant, and I can't wait to see him in more things. I can't wait to see a lot of the other guys as well, especially ones that I've never seen in things before. And I can't wait to see what they have in store. That's for sure. Would I recommend this movie? Yes. What would I see this movie as? Action, carnage, and chaos. That'll make you laugh. It will make you laugh. It will. So action, carnage, and chaos with laughs. If it had no comedy in it, I would I don't know how it would be, because again, Caddish humour's different. Not everybody likes it, not everybody gets it. Like I said at the start, it gave me Inglourious Bastards feels, and that has a similar humour. It has all the action, all the carnage, all the chaos with humour. And it's humour that you don't expect it to be, and that's the way the Guy Ritchie has captured this movie. Do I hate Guy Ritchie, do you ask? No, I don't hate the man. I just dislike some of his choices and dislike some things that he says. Some of the people that he picks as well for roles, and also the way sometimes he describes some of the actors that are in his movies. We don't need to know if someone's a good guy in real life when we can see that he's not. Keep it professional, talk about the movie, don't give a fuck about what he's like. Anybody's like out with the movie. You're selling a movie, not a fucking person. We don't want the product. We want the movie, and we want you to describe the movie and tell us how passionate you are about the movie, not about the fucking person that's in it. And that's all I'll say about that. I would really hope that his next film is going to be a cinema release in the United Kingdom. Guy Ritchie's movie, which is a movie that's got Jake Gyllenhaal, Isa Gonzalez as well, and Henry Cavill. So I would really, really like it if they actually did do a movie that came to the cinema, because I'd really like to go see it in the big screen, maybe actually go to the cinema for the first time in years. But I enjoyed it. My husband definitely enjoyed it. He really, really liked it. I think he'd give it 5 out of 5, but again, I am super critical, and if you don't like that, then tough shit. The internet is where I voice my views and my opinions, and if you don't like it, don't follow me, don't like my posts or whatever, but everybody's got their own opinion, and that was mine. I give it 3.5 out of 5, and I think Alan Ritchson is awesome, and he definitely saves this movie, and I can't say anything more positive about him. He's just so awesome. You think I like him a bit too much. I can remember when he was in Smallville, and I can remember when he was Aquaman in Smallville, and I can remember when he was in Titans as well. So, yes, forever Aquaman. That was the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, and I'm Darcy Darkness, and this is Behind the Mash Reviews, and that was the first review for this channel. Well, first movie review for this channel. Let us know in the comments below. Have you seen the movie? Do you like the movie? Do you enjoy Guy Ritchie's work? Do you tell me who your favourite actor? Tell me who your favourite character was in this movie. Tell me your favourite actor in this movie, and if you think he played the character well. And you can again ask me questions in the comments. You can go over to Instagram. You can also go see me on Twitch. If you want to troll me on Twitch, give me something to do while I'm gaming, and that's just the best. And I will see you in the next one. Later.